G'day legends, I hope you're all having a great day. Let's check out the new Deco plugin from Strymon. I've never tried the real pedal, but there's a 7-day free trial on the plugin, so I thought it might be nice to check it out. And basically I'll just show you some of the features, and I'm going to figure out how I would like to use this on a guitar sound. I'll also let you hear some of the factory presets on vocals, drums, and bass a little later in the video. Basically, you've got a tape saturation side and a double tracking side in here. The tape saturation has two different voices. One is classic for the usual tape saturation thing. There's a billion products out there doing very similar things. My favorite saturation style plugin is still FabFilter Satin and Soundtoys Decapitator. Very familiar with those. Love the way they work, so keen to try this. Then you've also got a cassette mode on there, which gives you more tape style compression. There's saturation, volume, tone, and low trim on the tape saturation side. Then for the double tracker, you've got lag time, which sets your delay time, wobble for tape style modulation, a blend control, there's an auto flange function, a wide stereo feature, and you can set up tap tempo subdivisions for the delay. So let's start off with my raw guitar sound. It's a DGT into my Axe FX3, Brit 800 model, and my free Greenback IR, which you can grab in the video description. I'll kick in the tape saturation and let you hear classic and cassette. Then I'll kick in the double tracker and show you a few options there. Goes a long way with both sides of this. You could hear I didn't really push the saturation too far. I'll give you an example on drums in just a little bit where the saturation is cranked up and it's being used on a parallel bus to really kind of crush the drums and blend them back in and fatten everything. On guitars, somewhere in that kind of 9 o'clock to midday range on the saturation control is nice. I really like that compressed nature of the cassette mode on there. Classic sounds like just about every other tape saturation plugin that I've heard, especially on guitars. So something like Soundtoys Decapitator or FabFilter Satin will get you those options if you've already got them. The fact that it is paired with that double tracker, I think, is where the magic is at. In there, you can hear this bounce mode on there, gives you that super wide stereo thing on guitars. It almost sounds a little bit like a bit of pitch detune in some places. You can set it up to do the auto flange thing on there, which I think sounds really nice. And then you do kind of chorusing and almost rotary speaker or vibe sounds out of it. The tap tempo functions in there are nice to have as well if you've got this synced up to your session. I think for me though, just a little bit of that kind of cassette saturation and compression on there works really nicely with dirty guitars and clean guitars, as we heard. And then the double tracker just to do that stereo widening thing that I personally love on there. The modulation kind of reminds me of the modulation on the Strymon Volante. Love that pedal, and I love that kind of random nature to the modulation that is just really musical and it just tends to work. And of course, early tape machines had that same element in there and they were used on so many classic recordings. So we've grown to love that sound, whether we know it or not. The price on this feels about right. If you had a look at, say, like Soundtoys Microshift and Decapitator and Echo Boy, that might run you a similar price when those products are on sale. I really, really like the Soundtoys stuff. I know I've mentioned it a lot. It's also cheaper than something like FabFilter Satin. Satin gives you a lot more options on there, so I'm not sure that's a fair comparison on there. I kind of wish the Big Sky plugin was priced at the same point as the Deco. Anyway, just some thoughts. I'd love to know more thoughts. Let me know in the comment section below. I'll let you hear this on some isolated vocals, drums, and bass now. I'm just using factory presets here, which you should see on the screen, starting off with Ryan's isolated vocal from Heaven Above.
I have fallen from the heights of your heaven above. You were lying when you cried, torn and broken for love. Lay with me, unleash me. Burn down our love, just let me go. Broken, bleeding in the dark where you left me so low.
you're a fan of the pedal and you use it in your rig and you'd like the option of having as many instances as you like in a given session, this feels like a no-brainer, much like the Big Sky plugin on there. If you're already invested in the plugin system with saturation, doubling, pitch shifting plugins, you know, is it an essential? Probably not. Is it super fun and inspiring? I think so. I really like it on there. It's going to be hard for me not to shell out to buy this after using it on the trial period. I have to go back and try Microshift and Decapitator again and see how they compare. The workflow on having these two together, I must say, is really nice. My one criticism would be that, you know, the overall plugin just kind of looks a little bit flat graphically on here, and there's a bunch of other more modern plugins. Well, this is a modern plugin, isn't it? But dedicated plugin manufacturers that have far more inspiring UIs on here. You know, this is fine. It's just a little bit kind of workman-like, whereas I feel like the Strymon hardware stuff really, really nails it and is kind of top of the game. This, you know, just from a visual standpoint, I know I'm absolutely splitting hairs here on something that I'm trying for free, but yeah, it's a little bit plain. Anyway, I would love to hear from you in the comments section below. Let me know what you think about the Deco plugin, whether you're going to grab it or whether you're going to pass on it. If you like what I'm doing here on the channel, check the video description for various ways to support what I do. You can also get that IR as well. I'll give you one last example of my favorite settings on here. I've got more gain going on, so let's try that. I'll kick in the saturation and then the double tracker. Cheers.